Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 136. Amy Foley, from solo freelancer to team leader, the power of networking, business autonomy, and HubSpot insights. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share, if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable from the trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are joined by Amy Foley. Welcome to the show, Amy.
Thanks for having me, Matt. I'm excited.
Me too. So, we've got so much to dig into. I got a long bullet list of things so many good things that we can, we'll see where it takes us. But Amy you are the co-founder of Inbound Backoffice, which
correct.
is a white label on-demand staffing service for marketing agencies.
That's correct.
My brain's working today. I actually was able to spit all that out.
Nice work.
But which is really cool. But one of the things we do here on The Builders, especially when you're here for the first time, is we like to dig into your journey a little bit, your story, your background, your origin story, to see what that looked like, how you ended up where you are today, doing the awesome things you're doing today, and how you became the awesome person you are today. So with that, I'm just going to hand it over to you, and you can tell the short version, long version, medium version, whatever you feel like today.
All right. Sounds good. So I would say that the origin story probably started back in 2009. I had a 3-year-old and I was working full-time as an administrative assistant in an office, and my 3-year-old broke his femur. And when you break your femur when you're 3, they put you in a half body cast. And so it required 2 of us just to move him, to bathe him.
Wow.
It was pretty intense. Now the good thing is it only had to be on for 4 weeks, but that's a really long time to be out of work. And so I begged and pleaded for my company to let me work from home during that time. That was before work from home was really a thing. And so, but I knew that there were some people who did it. So I knew that it could be done. Right. I just didn't know exactly the logistics of it. But they reluctantly agreed. And during that month, I was much more productive. I was happier because I was able to work when I had the energy, and still got to be there for my family. And when I went back, I said, can we work out some kind of part-time work from home kind of situation? And they said, absolutely not, which is so bizarre to me. Yeah. I mean, it benefited them. It benefited me. It just was a win-win, but they just were not into it. So that's when I started looking for an actual position that was work from home. So I found one through some connections on Twitter, and it started as part-time, so I was doing that part-time on the side. And then once they were able to give me a full-time position, then I quit my office job and I was working from home full-time. So that was interesting to work from home with 2 little children, and with no real blueprint for it, because again, that was before it was a thing. About a year later, I figured out how to work from home really well, and I was doing my job pretty efficiently. So, I was doing a full-time job in basically part-time hours. So I was looking for some more things to do because I like to be busy. So I decided that, why not look for people who need administrative help?
Right.
And again, I was in a position where I had no idea what that looked like or how I would do it. But I figured if somebody was willing to pay me, I would figure it out. And I put up a little website, and I went to Twitter and I looked for people who were looking for recommendations for virtual assistants. And I just responded and said, I'm a VA. Do you want to chat? Here's my website if you want to, look into me.
Right.
And like the first 3 people who I did that to all took calls with me and hired me. It was like, I was amazed. And I was like, well, now what do I do?
Oh my gosh. What have I done?
Exactly. It was a little overwhelming, but so the very first person that I was working for was Michael Reynolds, who owned a marketing agency. And as I was working with him and his agency, I learned all about marketing and the inbound marketing and HubSpot. And he kept referring me to all of his agency friends. And so they just kept coming and they needed all of this help. And because I knew how to do it now, I just got so busy that I went out and looked for help. And I found that there were no like VAs who knew HubSpot.
So this was all HubSpot work?
It was mostly HubSpot work, a little of the general admin type stuff, but mostly HubSpot. And so I hired someone and trained them on HubSpot and inbound marketing and all of that. So then I had a helper, and then we just kept getting busy, and I just kept adding helpers to the team. And like, it was so ridiculous. I was keeping track of people's hours on a spreadsheet and like calculating how much I owed them, paying them through PayPal. It was so janky, but the clients were happy. My team was happy. Everybody was happy. So it was great. So I decided that this could actually be a business. And so I hired a business coach to figure out exactly like what I should be focusing on in order to make it like a real big girl business. And she really helped in, getting me focused on the right steps. So I took all of those steps, and then at some point, Michael from the original agency approached me and said, hey, this is a really great business you have. I have all of these agency connections and know, what agencies really need. Like, we could grow this into something really big. And so we decided to partner, and we incubated it within his agency. And then in 2018, we brought it out on its own, and it was a real live adult business, running with real systems and real tools and payroll.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've just been growing it ever since. And yeah, it's been great.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's like, number one, whoever Michael is, like, you made the perfect connection, like right out of the gates, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, that's part luck. I mean, that's not everybody.
Right.
Like, especially for freelancing, you're starting out, who knows who you're going to be dealing with or finding to do work for or whatever. And to have somebody like that also had connections and could really help you get going, that's incredible. What's incredible too is that, okay, so you're looking at, you've decided that this is something did you have HubSpot experience before in your?
I worked as an administrative assistant in most of my previous jobs, but in industries nothing related to marketing. So it was brand new to me, but they were willing to teach me.
Okay.
And I'm a pretty quick learner, so I think that was one of the things that helped them realize that they should invest time in me, because I would learn, and that I was going to be growing this team, that I could help them handle the clients that they brought on.
And you also enjoyed the work. So, I mean, there must have been some aspect of what you were doing that you're like, oh, this is perfect for me. I enjoy, getting up every day and logging into HubSpot, doing my thing.
Yeah, I'm a big executor. So like, I love doing just like checking things off, getting stuff done, and helping people. Like, that was my whole angle. Like, yes, I needed the money, but my whole attitude was, I just want to help people. Yeah. Like, the more agencies I can help, the better, which is why I initially stared growing the team. I was like, well, then I can help more agencies.
Yeah. There's a lot of parallels with my agency. We'll get into that in a minute, and also, so you're enjoying it. You got somebody that's teaching you how to do this stuff, which is awesome, and connecting you with other agencies. I mean, that sounds like, good timing, and everything is involved with that. And then you start, so when you decide right off the bat, did you think about making this bigger and hiring other people to help you? What was that decision like? Like, did you go into this thinking I would just do it myself, but then you're like, I can do so much more if I hire other people? And
yes, for sure. I always thought it would just be me and I would just be a freelancer. Mm-hmm. Like, the freelance life was kind of appealing to me because I could, take on whatever clients I wanted, and I didn't have to work with people that I didn't like. And then I had a big rule that I would never work for anybody who was local to me, because I didn't want them to like see me out during the day and be like, why aren't you working on my stuff? Like, yeah. And so, I just thought it would be me until and then I just realized that the business was out there. Like, agencies really needed this. And then I was like,
you saw an opportunity there.
This could be a thing. Yeah. And even when I started hiring helpers, I still didn't really think it would be like a big business. I never really thought that. Like, that actually never entered my mind. Mm-hmm. And even still today, like, we have like something like 70 team members. I still don't even think of myself as like a business owner. Like, I just like...
You're still doing, because you're doing what you enjoy doing. You love getting up and doing your thing.
Exactly. And most of our managers are people who were with me from day one. Like, they were my original helpers.
So you took your helper, you trained other people, and those helpers became managers. Mm-hmm. Fascinating. I love that.
Yes. Yeah, because they've been here through the evolution of the business.
Right.
And so they're the best people to run their teams.
Oh, I love that. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, and so where did you find somebody to begin with? Was this, where did you hire from?
So my initial helpers were referrals. So my very first person, well, I shouldn't say that. I had a VA from the Philippines initially who was helping me with general stuff, just on the side when I was just going to be a freelancer. Right. And once the help I needed kind of evolved into something bigger, I decided I needed to go to US people and get a higher level, higher quality work. And so the first person I hired was actually Michael's sister-in-law. Oh. Yeah, and
thank you, Michael.
So
there's Michael,
right? Again. Exactly. Yeah, and now she's the manager of our admin team. And then what happened was I wanted to add a service that I was not skilled in. I wanted to add graphic design, and I was like, I don't do graphic design. But someone on the SpinWeb team had a neighbor and a friend who was doing freelance graphic design. And so she became my graphic designer, and now she runs the graphic design team. So, and then SpinWeb, so they had a developer whose wife, was interested in doing some freelance. So she became our social media person. So she was doing all the social media work, and then she became the manager, and now she's our operations manager. Oh my gosh. So she pretty much runs everything. And then, someone else on SpinWeb referred us to a friend who was our content writer.
What is SpinWeb?
That was the agency that Michael ran.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
And Nikki became the content manager, and then she became our client success manager. She does all of our sales, and does all of our client work. And so Nikki and Michelle basically run everything now. So yeah, it's just been amazing.
It sounds amazing.
Yes.
A lot of people listening.
Referrals are the best place to find good talent, because they don't, nobody's going to refer somebody who's going to be a flake. And then the person doesn't want to let down the person who referred them.
Exactly.
So it's like,
yes, that's how it works.
And they've all been excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's incredible. There's a lot to unpack. Where do I want to go with this? So I know where I'm headed. So I want to kind of draw a parallel with, kind of my agency and where I'm at. And I want to say you shouldn't be envious of anybody, but I'm a little envious of how well and how seamlessly it seems to have gone for you. but I can kind of relate to, I kind of started out solo, but I kind of went into, I did freelancing, then I worked for a company for like 3-4 years, their web developer. And then I came out of that and I started this agency. So I kind of went into it thinking I would try to build an agency, but it took a couple of years. I worked pretty solo. I get contract work and stuff for a while, and for the first few years, if I needed help. And then I started, I've built an international team. So I got in India and Philippines, about 10 people that help me, from VAs to designers to developers, and, a nice rounded team, project manager, QA person. And we do web design development, and it's gone really well. But I've a couple things within there is a little bit parallel to you, is that some of that team is growing out of people that I hired and they referred people that they knew in their networks, and that's the kind of same situation where you're going to get more quality people that way. So I got lucky out of the gates getting really, really good people, and so that's one thing. But now I'm trying to, I'm in a point in my business where I've always thought this. I didn't know when. I'm not in a hurry, but I do want to hire US. I want to build a US team. That transition's a little more difficult though, and I don't seem to be as lucky finding referrals out here for people to help me out. So that's that. But that's all about connections, and that's really where we're landing here. I have a great. I work with other agencies as well, and I have a continuous stream of business coming in. We have direct clients too. We have a lot of stuff going on, but and I get a lot of referral business and stuff. But that's business. That's not like, oh, somebody's got somebody that can help me do something. Right. But I think the connections in business is, man, that's. I know in my business how important it is. In your business, it seems like it's everything from Michael to probably a network of people you've built. That's kind of how it seems like you've built your whole team, and your whole business is just from networking and knowing people. Right? Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and that's how I've found all of our clients. We don't do any marketing at all.
You don't do any, no social media, no.
And we do organic social media, but it doesn't really, I wouldn't say that that's what brings clients. Yeah. I have been really active on LinkedIn, and that and the podcast, asking people to be podcast guests, are really where a lot of our clients come from. We also get clients from Michael is still part of a HubSpot agency Facebook group. And so, we get a lot of clients through that. Again, just networking in there and just, getting to know people and getting to know what their needs are and seeing how we can help each other, kind of thing.
Right. It's all about, and again, one of the things I've made sure in my business, well, I thought about it a few times. Like, should I do paid advertising? I actually I did paid advertising years ago as an affiliate, and it's a long story. I'm like, no, I want to try to build it organically and try a little SEO, do social media. But social media for me is, we're not like a Gary Vee or anything.
Right.
Not yet.
Right.
Working on it. No. We probably never will be. We're, especially in every domain's different, every niche and market, whatever audience. But it's been enough where it's opened the door to that networking. Like LinkedIn has been huge for us. Have you been on LinkedIn for forever, or is it this?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time. Yeah.
And
I couldn't even tell you when I started.
And do you get a lot of connections there? Like from you said you're networking with the Facebook group and stuff, but LinkedIn, do you reach out to people, or do they just contact you via your content you're posting? How does that work for you?
Yeah. So, it's typically, I will seek out marketing agency owners, and and then I will ask them to be guests on my podcast.
Yeah.
And then they start looking through my stuff, I would imagine, and all of my content to make sure that I'm like an actual person. I actually have a podcast, you know, that I'm legit, which is where the content comes in. And then, you know, 9 times out of 10, I shouldn't say 9 times out of 10. Sometimes I just get no response, which is I totally expect that. But a lot of times people are super honored to be asked and they will do it. And then they start looking into what Inbound Backoffice is. And then a lot of times it will lead to a sales call.
Yeah.
And in fact, over the last couple of weeks, a couple of people were like, I don't even want to be on the podcast. I just want to talk to you about helping my agency. And so like, we just cut to the chase right there. But when I was the host of the podcast, very frequently after we were done recording, they would be like, can you tell me about what you do? Like, send me some information because I think this could really help. And so it very often led to more conversations. But even if it doesn't, we're already connected. We've already had a conversation, you know, and then I go and I'll comment on their posts and, you know, just kind of having all of those touches. Like sometimes it is a longer game, but I would much rather it be a longer game and have them finally, you know, work with us. And then it's like a long-term, very trusting relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
From the get-go.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's with any networking, you can't expect like, I'm going to network with you today. And do you need any business? And then you get it. It doesn't work like that. It takes time. And yeah, I mean, just referrals. I get referrals from people that, you know, I won't even talk to them for like 6 months to 9 months. You know, maybe this just happened, why it's fresh in my mind. I had 2 referrals this last couple of weeks for pretty large projects, and from somebody in LA that I think he was referred to me from somebody, and I talked to him, and we had worked on a project this last year or to propose a project, and that never happened. But then all of a sudden, out of the blue, he sends me a couple referrals, and it just happened organically. We got on a few calls, and then nothing happened at the time, but you know, eventually it could. And just the same way with, people always tell me that we do a lot of content, we're daily content. I guess it's, you know, if you say two, 3 items per social media account or whatever per day. And we stay top of mind. That's our whole thing, is just to stay top of mind. And people tell me, Matt, you're top of mind because I see your content every day. It pops up.
Yes.
So when something,
exactly,
that's how it works, right? I mean,
yes, exactly. So someone might not be ready now, but when they are, you're the first person they're going to think of.
That's right. That's right. And also I think what you're, you know, like, when you do reach out to people, and this is what I hear from what you've kind of built and what you do, you're doing content enough to build your brand. Your brand is out there. People are able to check you out, whether it's on your website or your profile, and you've put thought into that, and it does sell your brand. It does say this person's legit, or you have, you know, reviews or whatever they're looking at out there. That's also something too that I think is important. You know, like we even maintain a Instagram account that, you know, we don't get business from Instagram, but we keep it around because people are going to search the web for us, see what's going on, and they can see our work. And so that helps. It kind of goes hand in hand. There's some people out there just spamming, and and that's why people should do their research, because
exactly.
For
well,
sure.
And it also gives them a sense of like who you are just as people, and a sense of if that's, you know, somebody they actually want to do work with. And instead of just like meeting someone in a sales call, you know, for 10 minutes or whatever, and then going into this work relationship, you build up this personality online, and they already feel like they know you. And so it's so much easier for them to either say, yeah, like we're a fit, or nah, you're not for me.
Yeah.
And that's totally good too.
And it's also about your personality and stuff. I mean, I had somebody who was it on my podcast, I don't know, months ago. But she kind of really drove this home where it's like, you're either going to love me or hate me. She was really, like her personality is right in your face. Like, this is who she is, and you either love me or hate me, but she doesn't care about the people that hate her. Or
right, exactly.
Like you find your tribe, you find your people that you connect with, that care about you, and I feel the same way. But podcasting, so you're not hosting anymore, or you mentioned that?
No, I'm not. Actually, our lead strategist, Holly, has taken over as host. So she does all of our podcasts now.
Okay, you did that because...
Basically, Michael and I wanted to create a business that we didn't really have to do a whole lot with. And so we found a way to basically have other people do it all. So we just kind of wanted it to run on its own and empower our people to be the voices of the company.
Interesting. So you're more behind the scenes, and so that in my last episode we talked a lot about vision. That's your vision for your business. Did you have that up? I know you. Well, up front you were just thinking about being a freelancer, but then as you worked with Michael, you two were like, "This is where we see ourselves in 5 years or a couple of years. We want to put our people in the right positions so they can run the company, and then you can do whatever it is you do." What are you going to do if you're not doing anything?
That's a great question. I wouldn't say it was a vision, an intentional vision for that long. It maybe, we were putting it together that way. When I look back on it, like that's how we were doing it. And mostly because, even up until a couple of years ago, I was still doing client work, because there were just a few clients that weren't agencies that I had before we became niched in that market. And they were people who I was very close to, and I didn't want to give them up to anybody, but then my original helper took them and took great care of them. And so they are still clients today, but it was really hard to give up some of that. And even the podcast, it became too much for me. I'm an incredible introvert, and so it took a lot of energy for me to do all of that peopling.
Yeah, right.
So I still found a way to kind of be on the front end of like making those connections through LinkedIn, and just didn't have to do the actual interviewing. But as far as what I do now, so obviously I'm doing a lot of the networking part of it, and always trying to, think of other things that we can do to add value for our clients. For example, we're exploring having a side of recruiting in Inbound Backoffice, like just plain old recruiting, just like a regular recruiter. For specific positions that agencies might need.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're running a beta right now with one of our clients, who's already a client, and who does work with recruiters. So he's got some inside knowledge on like what's better than what they do, and what we might want to add and things like that. So we're testing it out, but we think it actually might be a good fit. And so we're constantly trying to figure out different ways that we can, add new services and,
the fun stuff.
The business.
That's awesome. No, it's interesting because you try a lot of different things, especially as your business is growing, and you did the podcast, but you realized, that maybe this wasn't something you wanted to do for a long time. Because you're an introvert, or because, but that's figuring that stuff out along the way is important. Like, I think with my podcast, I actually figured out I liked it for some reason. I like doing, I don't know what, sometimes I wonder, but for the most part, I love having these conversations. I like talking about business. I like this whole process, and I like connecting with people, and it does other things, like networking a little bit, but,
right.
But to figure that out, but now it's kind of interesting how you kind of, it sounds like, this is what I'm hearing. It sounds like you like the process of strategizing and come up with new ideas, innovating, seeing what, we can come up with new services. That's kind of where you are. That's where your value is in your business. You got somebody that can help. You've kind of established this part of your business where it kind of runs on its own. You're helping a lot of agencies, and that's doing awesome without you even there, but you're able to, that frees you up now to go build onto that and do something completely new, which is very cool. Love that.
For sure. In fact, at one point, Michael and I tried to start a second. It was basically, the idea was it would be the same as Inbound Backoffice, but we would serve nonprofits because he had some experience in nonprofit area. So we kind of spun it off as a second company, like a separate company. Didn't do so well. Nonprofits there's a lot of red tape and a lot of approvals needed, and they weren't very tech savvy, and it just didn't work out so well. So now all of the innovating we do are within IBO.
Yeah.
It would be much easier to scrap an idea within the company than starting up a brand new separate company.
Yeah. No, and you failed, but you're still here. You're still doing stuff.
Exactly.
They talk about failure all the time online, right? Everyone's talking about gotta fail, especially if you're an entrepreneur. But that doesn't mean you failed in everything. It's just that one thing you tried, and you try. Right. You keep trying things, and that didn't work out. You learn from it, and now you learn that, well, maybe we should keep it within the brand and what we're doing, and just kind of build things, snap things onto what you're already doing, and leverage what you already have done, which is very cool. I kind of do that with with products where I have the agency, but on the side we've been building. It's boring. WordPress plugins.
I don't think that's boring at all. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we like Gutenberg block plugin. We got an email plugin. We have, and we're building more. But this is kind of part of the grand plan. It snaps into what we do because we build websites, right? So we use it on our own websites, our client sites, and builds, and our own sites, and it's something we kind of do on the side and grow. But the long game is to eventually build a product side of our business that complements our agency, and so kind of multiple revenue streams. So it's good to think about those things. Within that journey, though, there's been some failures and things I decided, maybe we don't do that and this and that, but you keep going, you keep trying and keep growing it. It does the, this is fresh in my mind too, because I just had a podcast about vision. Do you have a vision for your company? Like, do you someday want to sell your business or build it in a way? Because that's why I kind of see myself doing this for a long time, because I enjoy doing it. I found my passion. I love doing it. So it could be 10 years, 20 years. I might be 80. I don't know. But kind of the idea is someday I'd like to be able to sell the business. And so to do that, I have to build it in a certain way. I have to build it like you did, where it runs on its own and has value in different ways. That's something that would make it attractive for somebody to even want. Does that go into some of these decisions of what you're building, that you want to build something? Do you have that long-term vision, or are you kind of like, yes, I'll do this forever?
Yeah. So that's interesting, because Michael has a couple of businesses on the side that he does that are completely separate and different. And so I think that's kind of where he was thinking. And this is one of the complexities of being in a partnership, that I personally, I've gone back and forth on doing something else and, positioning to sell. But at the end of the day, I just keep thinking back to the people. And because a lot of them were my original people, I hired a majority of the people that are on our team today myself. And, I trained them myself, and I worked very closely with them myself. And the clients, even many of these clients have been my clients since day one. Right. And so for me, I would take over and run it myself forever. Like if that were, what Michael would want or whatever, like that's kind of where I am at this point. I'd be happy doing it forever.
Yeah.
And just keep evolving it.
So you're not even thinking about it. You enjoy what you do. And
I really do. Yeah, I really do at this point. Now that we've gotten, most of the processes down and everything runs pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as AI doesn't take over your job or something. And
yeah, I think we're safe for now.
That is a legitimate, thing. I mean, I've been involved with things that, like I was involved with, but 20 years ago, I got into affiliate marketing, Google AdWords, and PPC and pay-per-click, and did a lot of stuff. But in that time frame, that 10 years, Google changed so much. Like a lot of the stuff that like I was part of the Wild Wild West days where anything went, and then all kinds of things happened in the industry, both from the Google's perspective and from the merchants' perspectives, where they started tightening the screws on us. We couldn't get away with as much over time, and made it harder and harder for affiliates, specifically. But that's something, even with AI, you think about that. Like, I think about that in my business. Obviously, I'm web design development. People are using ChatGPT to code now, and there's a lot of things happening there. But am I safe? How do I protect myself, or am I in a position to where I'm doing something that AI can't do? We're not just coding. We're not just prompting things to do stuff. We're adding value.
Or educating yourself on how to. I mean, it's always going to take a person to use AI to get the output. So, learning how to use it better than other people, I suppose, could also be another angle.
It's making sure you got enough value. So you bring a strategy, you bring yourself to, people want to deal with people for the most part, right?
Right.
So I don't think that one of my clients, knowing my clients, that they'd want to get on a Zoom call with a bot. or talk about
right, yeah, there's that. Yeah, but also what we've been noticing is that, even like with content generated from AI, like people can tell, like, and there's an integrity thing there that I think a lot of agencies, especially the ones, at least the ones that we've talked to, they don't want to go there. Like, they would still rather have it be completely original, written by a human being, graphic design and all of it. Like, they would just rather, maybe there might be some services that, could potentially, agencies might use them to be more efficient and more cost effective. Right. But I think for the most part, a lot of that creative stuff is, people aren't going to want it to be computer generated, at least not right now. Yeah. Now, generations in the future,
possibly,
potentially, they might not care about that.
Well, like a lot of things, though, and this happened a lot in my internet marketing days, where people would ruin things because everyone starts doing it, and suddenly you got all this so you have to still find ways to set yourself apart. Maybe that is more original content, more this type of thing we're doing today, or whatever. But the other thing that, and I was thinking, was the other thing that we do, or I envision us doing, is helping people implement these tools and how to approach them in their businesses, even for websites and stuff. Like, how can you leverage AI, these tools into your? I just had a conversation yesterday at a meeting with on site with a client, and we were talking about AI and chatbots, and because they have a ton of data and how that could help them. So there's a lot of opportunities to also help people in that realm, and I'm sure on your side too. There is a ton that we could continue to talk about here.
I'm sure.
Well, I want to let's take just a few minutes about HubSpot, because I want to talk about HubSpot a little bit, because I also talked about it yesterday a little bit, because this client is getting in. After our meeting, they were meeting with HubSpot, and they're going to implement that into their business. Can you take a few minutes and tell me about HubSpot, what it kind of is and what it does for businesses? Because I'm curious myself. I'm not a HubSpot expert. I will integrate it into their website and do, help them implement forms and stuff. but I'm not in HubSpot. They're going to manage that or somebody else's. Tell us a little bit about that and why it's awesome.
Yeah, so I will just preface this by saying I have been out of the HubSpot world for a couple of years, so I may misspeak or miss some of the new technology and features that they offer now, because apparently it changes very frequently. And I'm sure that they're going to, I mean, we're recording this right before Inbound, their big conference. So I'm sure they usually unveil lots of new features and things like that. But essentially, it's kind of an all-in-one system for marketing, really. Like, it's a CRM. You can do email marketing. You can create landing pages. They've got all kinds of integrations with other tools. You can develop websites on it. We have HubSpot developers who develop HubSpot websites on there. So they have a CMS. So it's really just this all-in-one thing, system for marketers. And it's really great. It's evolved over time. And they have pretty flexible pricing. Like, you get a lot of features in the free plan, which is really nice for people who don't need all of that extra features, but they still want to use it. They can still do a lot of email marketing, and, CRM management through the free plan. So I think that's what really attracts people to get started with it. And then they see all of the other cool things that it can do. Right. And then they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I need this.
Kind of like what you've done with your business, they did with their business. Because I don't know. I feel like HubSpot, again, I've been around for a long time. And HubSpot has been around for a long time. But they became something else.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, like, I don't remember people building. Only in this past year or two have I heard people starting to be like, yeah, you can build websites there. I don't think that was always a thing. Was it?
Yeah, I don't think it was always a thing. I think it was really, like, I think it started as like a CRM. Yeah. And then, like, they added things as,
kind of scaled it up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and I don't know, does it work like the websites? Are they on a subdomain, kind of like WordPress.com? Does they have their own hosted websites, blogs, or whatever, or like a Wix or Squarespace?
No. Mm-mm.
This is, how does it work?
It's fully just like, you buy the domain. And
you get the domain there. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, and then interesting. But can you do subdomains there like you can on others, or yeah, like if you didn't have a domain? Like, everyone should have a domain, but I'm just curious how it's structured.
Actually, that's a great question. If you don't have a domain, that I am not sure about.
Yeah,
that I'm not sure about.
It's interesting. I got so much to learn about it myself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like I said, it has changed so much over the years that, like, it would probably be unrecognizable if I tried to do anything today.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think one of the things that I think is probably to me, the kind of the core of it, though, is managing the list and the CRM and all that built into it, and being able to do automations and or drip campaigns or whatever you can do in there, and it's cool. I use MailChimp for like my stuff, but I don't know. I've always thought about this HubSpot thing. I check into it.
Yeah, well, it's nice because you can do your landing pages all in HubSpot, and you can create templates, and you've got forms in HubSpot. Like, it's just all in there together, so you don't have to have 3 separate tools or something.
Well, right,
like
and I actually, there was another agency I was talking to. We've had multiple conversations. He might have been on this podcast. I don't know. It's after 130 some episodes, I start to forget what they had on the podcast. But he's like, we've talked about doing stuff together, but he used to do WordPress, because that's 90% plus what we do. But they shifted to just focus on HubSpot and building websites in HubSpot. That's like their specialty as well. And I just found that fascinating. And I wanted to learn more about it. Anyway, so If somebody wants to learn more about what you do, contact you, connect with you, they want to learn more about your business or get help from you with your 70 plus VAs, how can they reach out? How can they find you?
Our website is inboundbackoffice.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn, Amy Foley.
Awesome.
Those are the two best ways.
All right, great. Well, thanks for joining us. Until next time.
Thanks for having me.
That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this episode's page, provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, or inquire about being a guest, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, my agency, Unified Web Design. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you're interested in our services or are looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.